In episode 15 of I Know a Guy, I chat with Gastonia manager Mauro Goose Gozzo. Brace yourself, because the Goose is loose. Our guest today is from Berlin, Connecticut, drafted by the New York Mets in 1984 out of high school, pitched in the major leagues for 6 years, currently the manager for the Gastonia Baseball Club. I know a guy, and his name is Mauro Goose Gozzo. Goose, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. When did you get the nickname Goose?
Freshman year in high school, my baseball coach said, I can't be calling you by your last name, Gozzo, all the time, and I definitely don't want to call you Mauro. So I'm going to come up with something, and he just started calling me Goose because I was closing out games for the Berlin High School Redcoats back in 1982, 3, and 4, and it's been Goose since. When I got drafted, they put Goose on my draft card, and as you notice, some of my baseball cards say Goose on them, some say Mauro. Some stadiums would announce me as Goose, some would announce me as Mauro. So I've been stuck with that, and basically everybody calls me that except my wife.
What do you prefer? Do you have a preference between Mauro or Goose?
Anything but late for dinner.
Love that. Goose, you were a pitcher in the big leagues with the Blue Jays, with the Indians, the Twins, and the Mets. I have some trivia for you. Trivia right away. So, what is your stat line from your big league debut with the Blue Jays? The 35-year anniversary will be on Thursday, this coming Thursday, August 8th, 1989. What was your stat line?
I believe I went 8 scoreless innings.
Correct.
I threw 91 pitches. I believe I gave up 2 hits.
3 hits.
3 hits. I believe I walked 4 or 3, and I struck out 3 or 4.
Correct. You walked 3, struck out 4.
Right.
So the best of those 2 options.
Yep.
Do you remember who the losing pitcher was in the game?
Bobby Witt.
It was. 2 teammates for you homered in the game to help you win the game 7-0. Do you remember who?
Fred McGriff.
Yep. Solo shot.
And was it Nelson Liriano?
It was. A 3-run home run. He nailed it. Nailed the trivia. You told me the other day about a situation where you faced Barry Bonds. What was that like, facing one of the most dangerous hitters of all time?
Well, I mean, as a professional, you're prepared for any situation. Then I was in a situation where I was able to get to the team when I got called up for the meeting before the series starts, and the pitching coach would kind of go over with the catchers and the pitching staff of how to pitch certain players, and the way we pitched them in that series, we felt like we can get him out of the way, but you have to make him move his feet in. So I proceeded to pitch him in after the night before starter did the same thing, and he kind of was getting a little frustrated with it, and I did it like 2 of the first 3 pitches that I threw him, and he didn't like it too much. So he kind of walked towards me on the mound.
Did you say anything? Or
No, I mean, I just basically told him to get back in the box. I'm not trying to hit you on purpose or anything, but I did go to his former teammate with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Bobby Bonilla, and I told Bobby to tell him to get back to the box because I wasn't looking for any trouble. I was just trying to get him out and try to stay in the major leagues for as long as I can.
Did you always know that you wanted to go into coaching when you were pitching?
Oh, I love the game. I love the game. I love coaching kids. I went right into instructing, like right afterwards, and I was able to, pass on some of the things that I was able to learn from my great coaches that I had, and I really got really fond of it. So coaching was something that was definitely on my radar at that point, and I did the pitching coach thing for a little bit, really enjoyed it, but I felt like I wanted to be even more part of the game, and so I started pursuing some manager stuff, and here I am.
We have a segment on this podcast called Cool Connections. You have a very cool connection with Wally Backman, who just was the manager for the Long Island Ducks last year. In 2018, you were the pitching coach for the New Britain Bees in this league under Wally Backman. Then the year after, you became the manager of the Bees when Wally left to manage the Ducks. And then in 2020, you were going to be the pitching coach for the Ducks under Wally. What was it like learning managerial processes under Wally Backman?
Well, I don't think he ever thought that he was going to be a mentor to me or whatever. But just by seeing how he prepared himself before the games, the things that he looked at, the stat lines that he would look at, the different idiosyncrasies that he would look at in certain players, certain teams, certain certain situations. I've learned a lot from Wally, but there's definitely a very big mutual respect for each other.
Now, starting in 2021, of course, you've been the manager for Gastonia, almost 4 full seasons now. You've had a lot of team success. Best half in league history this year. First team to 60 wins happened a couple nights ago. You have a managerial record of 355 and 252, more than 100 wins than losses. How has it been working with Chuck, Brady, Ian, and having all this team success?
Well, we didn't work with the same four people. The very first year was basically Chuck and myself. The second season, we got Ian about halfway through the year or not as just a pitcher. And then that third year, we got Ian as a pitching coach, and he only was here about half. And then this year, the same thing with Ian. So basically, it's been Chuck and I for all of 4 years. It's been Brady for 3 of the 4 years, and it's been pieces of Ian for 3 of the 4 years.
What makes you and Chuck work so well together?
Chuck takes some stuff off the plate for me. You know, he takes care of the batting practice. One thing that I really like what Chuck does is he keeps the guys loose. He's really good around the guys, whether it's on the bus, road trips, in the dugout. Guys love his BP. He's a BP extraordinaire guy. He could dial up the velo if he needs to. He can lessen it. Guys are asking him to throw breaking balls and try to get him out, and he can do that. So I think personality-wise, I think we go good together as far as having personalities that have one common goal, and we kind of do things a little bit different for the team, but we basically meet at the end, and we are coaches of the team, and we're here for you guys to have a good time, for you guys to relax, and I think Chucky does a great job with that.
How has it been assembling the team each season, especially with Brady since 2022? I think you told me before the season you talked to Brady more than you talked to your own wife.
That is a fact. I would say on average, Brady and I definitely talk to each other, more than 4 times a day. Sometimes it's, what are we going to do with this player? What are we going to do? We're going to sign this player or not. But Brady's been a great help. Obviously, when he came in 22, we were able to build our pitching staff. We knew our pitching staff was our weakest point in 21, and he's done a tremendous job with that. Brady, I give a lot of credit to our success here as Gastonia Baseball to Brady. Brady's been outstanding. He kind of has the same vision as I do. And we talk so much that he knows I like speed. I like on-base percentage. I do like power. I don't like strikeouts, and I don't like walks. And so we kind of work around those things, if you will, the best that we can to put together a good, strong team to be able to make the playoffs and hopefully win a championship for us soon.
You personally, back-to-back manager of the year, first time that's happened in Atlantic League history. What kind of pride do you take in winning or back-to-back?
I'm not an individual guy. This is not about me. This is about the team. If I could make 30 guys comfortable, or however many guys that we would have on a roster, if I can make them comfortable, if I can get them to, play at their best ability or whatever, I feel like I'm doing my job. Obviously, I schematically during the course of a game, pick my spots for hit and runs or bunts or stealing bases. But the biggest thing is getting the group of guys to have the one common goal, and that's to win.
What's the biggest mindset adjustment you've had to make the way the game is played now as compared to how it was in the past when you were playing?
I think it's more language than everything else. I think it's language. I think there's more analytical stuff. There's more, computerized reports. There's more tendency percentages. And things like that, but slowly but surely, I'm getting up to date with a lot of that. I understand that, and I think it helps when you have guys around that talk the lingo all the time. You start understanding the lingo yourself. But at the end of the day, it's the white thing that you're trying to hit. You're trying to throw over the plate, and you're trying to score runs, and that's the way the game is played.
There are different types of managers. I would definitely call you a player's manager. You always talk about fighting for your players. Even someone on the podcast so far, you've talked about that. Why do you think you're such a player's manager?
Because I knew as a player, one of the things that I wanted to feel was the appreciation from my manager and coaches. I've had very bad games. I've had very good games. And I don't think it should be any different on how someone treats somebody based on that, as long as they're giving 100% effort. I knew that I gave my 100% effort, but the times that I didn't get that little slap in the back end, if you will, when I was walking off the mound, it just put me in a whole different mindset. When you feel appreciated, you're going to go out there and you're going to fight for that guy just like he's fighting for you. And so I understand the ups and downs, the mentality that it takes to play this game. I mean, all of them have physical attributes, but some of them, might have things going on at home. Some of them might have things going on with their families, whether it's illnesses or whether it's relationships breaking apart or whatever. I think their family, for the time that they're playing in a season, is the team. And so my mentality is to try to make that clubhouse a family atmosphere, so we can go on and do good things together, and we have each other's backs.
Is there a favorite interaction you've had with the player, whether it's this year or even in the 4 years you've been with Gastonia?
I don't think there's a favorite. I mean, I think there's so many great moments. I think some of the things that we've accomplished here in Gastonia are off the record. I mean, it's just they're record breaking. I mean,
Each season.
I think the records better than I do, but I recall triple plays. I recall no hitters. I recall 3-run back-to-back home runs. 3 home runs in a row. So I just appreciate the talent of the players that we have. I appreciate their effort all the time. I tell them I love them often. I want to see every one of them get another chance to become major leaguers if they haven't already.
One player that you interacted very well with, Matt Cain. He threw a perfect game in 2012. He credited you as the pitcher who impacted him positively the most. What did it mean to you? I know you went to the award ceremony before this season. What did it mean to you to reconnect with Matt and see all of his success in the big leagues?
Well, Matt was like a son to me. I started with Matt. I think his grandfather brought him to me as an instructor when I was done playing, and we hit it off pretty well. Obviously, we became really good family friends. He would just call and chat with me at times, or he'll come for a tune-up or whatever it was, just all the way until I moved from Tennessee. So there's always been a lot of mutual respect, but I saw major talent in Matt. He was mature beyond his years, and we've kept a really good relationship, and I feel honored. Like I said in my speeches, I'm honored for him to think of me as that way when I felt like I was just doing my job.
You have a lot of responsibilities as the manager of this baseball club. What would you say is the toughest job, whether it's daily, day in or day out, or overall in general on the season that you have?
Well, I think keeping when we have such a good roster like we do, is I guess it's keeping all players, keeping all the mouths fed. Keeping the mouths fed. I mean, guys want to hit in the 3-hole. They want to hit in the 5-hole. They want to hit, they want high leverage innings, or they, don't want to throw in just garbage innings or whatever. So I think that's one of the hardest things. But I think overall one of the hardest things to be a manager in the independent ranks is there's no minor league system, right? So being that there's no minor league system, one of the things that is really grueling is being able to replace players when they do get picked up, and then reconstructing rosters and all that. And thank God for Brady Salisbury. He's outstanding at it. He knows our weaknesses before we even go out there in the field. He knows how to fix them, patch them. Obviously, that's another reason why we talk so much is that we're constantly talking about the vibe of the team. We're constantly talking about where our weaknesses are, obviously where our strengths are. But I would say that's probably one of the hardest things to do is to replenish rosters.
You just touched upon this earlier while answering the question. One of your responsibilities is making the lineup each day. How early in each day do you think about what the lineup's going to be?
I think about the lineup the night before. Some of it's based on how the individual player does. I think every roster, every team in this league, I think you have your starting players and then you have your role players. But I start checking who's batting what off of lefties, who's batting, what off of righties. And even when we construct rosters, we're looking to be able to have a balance of lefties and righties facing these lineups. So, one of the things that Brady and I talked about the other day is when we have a slider dominant pitcher, it's very important that we don't just load up the lineup with righties. It's important to have a balance in there to where now they're going to be less susceptible to using that slider against the lefties. They're going to have to use their third pitch or whatever. So that's one of the things that I do, looking at it the night before, looking at your stat pack that you're able to bring me. And then I come up with the final lineup probably around before 2 o'clock every day.
How much does the park that you play in have to do with it in terms of short left field here at Caramount Health Park, Lancaster, short right fields?
Sure. So obviously you've been with us and you understand what I do with some of that. I'll take my speedier outfielders and put them in the bigger gaps. So sometimes I'll take a guy that plays left field here. I'll put him in right field in Lancaster because the right field in Lancaster is very similar to our left field. So I'll do that from a defensive positional thing. But as far as the order goes, the order probably remains the same.
On that note, I would love to guess the lineup for Tuesday's game, hosting High Point here at Caramount Health Park. Could I give it a shot?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm very curious to see how it relates to the actual lineup. So leading off, DHing Kevin Motson Jr., batting second in center field, Josh Stowers, batting third, playing second, Justin Wiley. Cleaning up, has to stay at cleanup, third baseman Jake Gatewood. Batting fifth and back in the lineup, he had a wedding this weekend, but right fielder Jacob Robson. So there's 3 righties in a row, but then a lefty. Then the righty is Clint Coulter in left, Mark Flores, back to a lefty, playing first, and then Edekel Gonzalez catching. Richie Martin rounds out the order at short.
I don't think that's going to be the lineup for Tuesday.
Okay.
But I think you're going to be pretty close with the guys that you have in there.
Okay. Do you like at least the righty-lefty splits in there?
I do like the way you've maneuvered through the lineup with righties and lefties. Yes, I do.
All right. I don't know. I might be applying for a manager job one day. We'll see. What do you think is the biggest strength for the team right now?
I would say offense and defense are probably our biggest strengths right now. We can stay in the game defensively, when we're throwing strikes, if we're throwing strikes. I would say obviously our pitching has been very, very good as well. I don't want to say that the pitching is our weakness. But whenever you lose 3 or 4 starters, 3 to 4 starters, like within a week's time or whatever, it takes time to build up some of these other arms that we have here. So when you do that, you start taxing the bullpen, and the bullpen's been great. The starters have been great. But our strength right now is our offense can keep us in the game, and obviously our defense, we play very, very good defense statistically.
What do you think is the biggest thing to work on going forward? Well, during obviously the postseason push, you're going to be in the playoffs. You've already clinched that spot. Biggest thing that the club has to work on?
I think it's getting the starting rotation in an order that we can offset some of the strengths of the other team. I think whether it's going in and righty, or is it going to be righty dominant? Is it going to be lefty dominant? I mean, the good thing about winning the first half is we're able to do our roster exactly how we want it going into the playoffs, because we really don't have to win all the games down the stretch. So as we get closer to the end of the season and end of the half, we could kind of organize our staff and all that. So I would say is to figure out our starting pitching between now and the playoffs.
There are plenty of teams that have lost a bunch of players. They've gotten picked up by affiliated teams, by teams in Mexico, wherever, and their season has derailed, for lack of a better word. What is it about Gastonia that it seems like year after year, it doesn't matter how many players you lose, you just keep on winning?
Well, Brady and I we start this process already for next year. We already start, there's a database already, contacts that we have made over the years, contacts that some of these players bring to us. So whether it's keeping in touch with that contact or, letting that person know that, hey, we are interested, we just don't have a spot for you right now, or, find out who's in the area, who's been released and who's in the area, and touch base with them and let them know, we're here for you if something happens. So I think it's relationship based, but then also we do a scouting trip every year. This past year I went down to Cressy's down in Florida, established some relationships there. Ended up getting a catcher to come from there to our spring training. We go to Tread. We go to a showcase in Tread, and we stay there for 3 days, and we watch hundreds of pitchers. And we establish relationships with them. Julian Smith, who we just got, we saw him there. We've seen a lot of our pitchers in the last 2 or 3 years there. So I think it's just constant work, constant focus, understanding that on average we're at 55. We're at 55 to 57 players annually, whether it's guys that, come in and play for a little while as spare players, or whether it's guys that come in, they get picked up, and now we have to replenish them. So we know that it's not going to be the 27 or 30 that we bring to spring training. We're going to need 55. We're going to need 55 to 65 players during the course of a year. So we do our due diligence before the season or before spring training even starts.
All about preparation, right?
Correct.
So we talked about your accolades, back-to-back ALPB Manager of the Year. What is it like seeing some of the players on the team getting accolades? Josh Stowers and Phoenix Sanders being named midseason All-Stars. Nick Horvath was just named a couple days ago the co-pitcher of the month of July. How cool is that, seeing all these players getting awarded?
Well, it's great because, obviously if they're having success, we're having success as a team. But like I said, this is for all the players to give them the opportunity to show that they are all-stars, to show that they are worthy of getting called back up, to show that they could play at the next level again. So I think it's about the players, and if they get awards, I'm very happy for them. I will say this: I think we should have a few more all-star players on our team. So hopefully by the end of the season, I hope that whether it's the coaches, the general managers, whoever's doing the voting for the final all-star team or whatever, I hope that we would have more than 2 players being the type of team that we are.
Was it a sigh of relief when you win the first half? Of course, 46-17, best half in league history. But when you have that first half locked up like you did in 2022, is it more of like a sigh of relief, all right, reset now, only focus on September 17th kind of mentality?
No, I mean, I still want to be playing. We still want to be playing good baseball. We'll be starting to give some days off here and there. We kind of did it early in the second half. Guys that were banged up, we gave them a day or two or some extra days or whatever. Not going to take any risks in a player that got banged up. Like De La slid into second today, a little awkward. Probably if it was a playoff game, probably could have kept going, but just to be safe, I think it was good that he came out of the game, got his knee, got his body checked, and he's going to be okay. But just to be careful with the players a little bit. But you definitely want to be playing good baseball going into the playoffs. Baseball's not a game that's a lightning switch game. You can't just flick the switch on and say, "Oh, I want to play good today." You gotta keep working to play well. The vibe has to be correct. You have to have several of the batters in the order swinging the bat good. You've got to be able to put guys in the right spots to help them flourish. Whether it's moving them down in the order if they're seeing a ton of breaking balls early in the order, or give them a day off just to give them a breather and get them a mental relaxed day. So I definitely want to be playing well. During this half. Do we have to win every game? No, but we want to know that we're out there and we're competing at our fullest when we get to the playoffs.
Well, you started off a bit slowly in the second half after having the dominant first half, but since then, 2 out of 3 against Charleston, 2 out of 3 against High Point. Now you just swept Lexington, finish off that 3-game sweep today. How do you feel about the team momentum-wise at this very moment?
Well, like I said, it's always hard when you get 3 starting pitchers and a bullpen piece come off your roster right after the first half ended. So we had to kind of rebuild our starting staff, and we rebuilt it with some players or some pitchers that weren't stretched out enough to go 5 innings. So the slow start, I believe, was more to our starting pitching not able to go 5-6 innings in a game where we had to use our bullpen a lot, and so with doing that, now you're tiring out your bullpen. You don't have the pieces that you want in certain situations. So obviously some of the other teams have taken advantage of that, but we're hitting our stride again now. Guys are able to get extended and throw their 5 innings. We had a nice outing. By Conroy today. Got us through 6. So I look forward to what we're going to be doing from here on out.
You were the Gastonia Ghost Peppers for the 3 games this weekend. 15-2 record while in the alternate uniform so far, so not too shabby. What's your favorite alternate team name so far? What do you think out of the 4?
Out of the 4, I'm going to say uniform-wise, it's the Gastronauts, and then name-wise, it's probably the Ghost Peppers.
Ghost Peppers, number 1. How about of the names that you've yet to wear but you've heard about?
The Gastonia Baseball Club.
All right. Gastonia Baseball Club you like better than the names?
100%.
What do you like about it?
I like the silver and black. I like that, you can do anything with it. If you wanted to do a weekend of the Ghost Peppers or a weekend of the Galactic Dinos, kind of like what we're doing, I think it's pretty cool for the fans. I think the merchandise is something that I'm seeing around the ballpark now, which is great. I saw some Bologna fans out there today. I've seen guys walking around in the Galactic Dino stuff, the Gastronaut stuff. That's one of the reasons why. I mean, I like the traditional name, the traditional uniform, the traditional colors that no one else has in our league, and still have the ability to expose some of these other names to our fans.
Now I know why you get along with Brady so well. He said the exact same thing to me. He said he loves the colors, loves the traditional aspect. So yeah,
we talk like 8 times a day. Didn't I say that?
No, I know, more than you talk with Lisa. Yeah, this is perhaps the most important question so far. You're originally from Connecticut, grew up near Quinnipiac, where I went to school. New Haven pizza. How amazing is New Haven pizza compared to the rest of the country?
Oh, it's definitely the best. I've had these debates on buses with players that come from Chicago and New York and all that, but when they finally do look it up and they see that Pepe's and Modern and Maria's and is definitely in the top bunch. Every publication you could read, sit there and tell you about it. Something about the water, the way they make their dough, the sauce, the way they burn it just right. The Napolitan type of pizza, it's outstanding.
Sally's also.
All of it.
You have a favorite pizza joint in New Haven?
I'm going to say Pepe's is my favorite.
Pepe's is your favorite. What makes it better than the rest?
I like their cheese pizza.
Cheese pizza. All right, that's a promotion right there. Goose, what is the goal for you as manager of Gastonia this season?
To win a championship. It's my only goal. Feel like we've built a pretty good team here in Gastonia for the last 4 years. I really would like to see the fans come out and, appreciate these players for their talents and what they do and the plays that they make. I mean, it's a highlight reel out there. Stower's ending the game the other night with a catch crashing into a wall. Game meant nothing. Game meant absolutely nothing. We're in the playoffs already. The guy runs full speed into a wall, crashes into the wall, and just drops to the ground. Makes the catch, final out of the game. My goal is to see this stadium be full of people to appreciate the talents of the players that we bring out there to have them see.
4,017 record-breaking attendance on Friday night. Did you feel the atmosphere? Did you feel the crowd?
You could definitely when a crowd comes in here, you could definitely hear the roar a little bit louder. Obviously, you see the traffic at all different parts of the park. You feel the energy, whether it's behind you or whatever. But I'm usually focusing between the white lines. But the few times that I did span around, I saw people in every part of this ballpark, and that's something I'd like to see happen more often.
Well, Goose, hopefully more people come to watch this team. This team's been pretty incredible this season.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Noah, I've been working on you with the, take me out to the ball game or whatever. Today wasn't your best effort.
Wasn't my best. No.
I want to know if you maybe forgot to drink milk to coat your throat or whatever, because you were really off tune. I'm thinking that we're going to have Dela or somebody give you some singing lessons to kind of work those pipes a little bit better.
Last night I was good. Last night I was good.
Last night, yeah. So you're one of these players that needs the energy. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it when there's nobody looking at you. You got to be able to do it when there's fewer fans. You can't just do it when there's 50,000 fans, right?
It's true. I thrive under pressure, and I guess when nobody's here, I crumbled.
But it's your chance. It's how you build. It's how you build your program.
Exactly. I mean, in my defense, talking for 7 innings in a row. You could hear my voice isn't amazing right now, and then I'm singing on top of that. I wanted to do it. It's okay.
You know what they say about excuses, right?
I know. I don't think we could say that on the podcast.
We're not going to say that. We're not going to say that in the air.
The people at home now. Goose, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I had a blast. You're welcome on anytime.
Thank you. I sure hope that, I've been number 15, maybe 70th now by the end of the year. If I come out again, I'll be like the 70th guy. But
you'll come on soon.
I'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Thanks so much, Goose.
Thank you, Noah.
Appreciate it.
All right.